I stood in my driveway at 6:30 Friday morning, watching my cousin Jameson stumble out of my lake house with some girl I'd never seen before. This was supposed to be my sanctuary. The place I'd scraped together every penny to buy after 5 years of 70-hour work weeks as a structural engineer. My father died when I was 19, leaving Mom drowning in medical debt. I became the man of the house overnight, put my younger sister Kiana through college while working 2 jobs, and finally, saved enough for this 3-bedroom lake house on Cedar Lake. "Ryan, my man," Jameson shouted, beer still in hand at dawn. "Didn't know you were coming up this weekend." I wasn't supposed to be. I'd driven 3 hours from Atlanta after my Friday morning site inspection got cancelled. The house looked like a war zone. Red cups floating in my pool. Someone had vomited on my deck. My custom grill, the one I'd saved 8 months to buy, had a giant crack down the middle. "Jameson, what the hell is this?" He laughed. Actually laughed. "Relax, cause. We just had a few people over. You're never here anyway, always working. Somebody should enjoy this place." My hands clenched. "A few people? There are 50 cups out here." "Yeah, it was lit. You should have seen it." He slapped my shoulder like we were sharing a joke. "Your boy knows how to throw down." That's when I saw it. Through the open door, my grandmother's quilt, the last thing I had from her, balled up on the floor, covered in what looked like wine stains and footprints. Something inside me cracked. "Get out." My voice came out quiet, deadly. Jameson's smile faltered. "Come on, Ryan. Don't be like that. Family shares, right?" Family. The word tasted like ash. 6 months ago, I'd made the mistake of giving Jameson a key during his rough patch. His girlfriend Honoris had kicked him out, and my Aunt Callie called me crying, begging me to help her baby boy. Like I always did. Like I'd done my whole life for this family. I was 12 when I started working, cutting grass, washing cars, anything to help Mom pay bills. While Jameson and my other cousins were having fun, going to parties, playing sports, I was becoming an adult. No one ever asked if I needed help. Just assumed Ryan could handle it. Ryan is responsible. Ryan will figure it out. When I got my engineering degree, the family threw a party at Mom's house. I paid for it, of course. Aunt Callie pulled me aside that night, drunk on the champagne I'd bought, and said, "You're doing so well, baby. Remember where you came from. Remember your family." I remembered. I paid for Jameson's electrician certification courses when he dropped out of community college. Covered 3 months of rent for my cousin Trina when she lost her job. Sent money to Uncle Oliver for his business venture that never materialized. I remembered everything. "How long have you been doing this?" I asked Jameson, pulling the quilt off the floor. "Doing what?" He had the nerve to look confused. "Throwing parties in my house." He shrugged. "I don't know, man. Couple times." I opened my laptop at the kitchen table, also sticky with God knows what. My smart home system kept logs of everything. Door entries. Water usage. Electricity spikes. I'd installed it for security but never checked it because I trusted family. Trust. Another word that made me sick. The data painted a devastating picture. Jameson had been here 17 weekends in a row. Not a couple times. 17. The electricity bills that had seemed high suddenly made sense. The water usage that had tripled. I'd been subsidizing my cousin's party lifestyle while working myself to exhaustion. "Ryan, you're overreacting." Jameson leaned against my counter, eating my leftover Chinese food from the fridge. The audacity was breathtaking. "Am I?" I turned the laptop around. 17 parties. Jameson. You've been here almost every weekend for 4 months. His face shifted, not to guilt, but annoyance. "So? You gonna count every time I visit now? That's cold, man. Real cold." "Visit? You've been bringing 40, 50 people to my house. Charging them entry." His eyes widened just slightly. "Gotcha. Oh yeah, I found the Cash App requests. Cedar Lake Mansion Party, $20 cover. You've been charging people to party at my house. I needed the money. Honoris won't let me see my daughter unless I pay child support, and the courts are bleeding me dry. He slammed his hand on the counter. You got all this, and you're worried about me making a little cash. Families supposed to help each other. I called my mother. Big mistake. Ryan, baby, I heard you and Jameson had words. Mom's voice was tight. Aunt Callie had already gotten to her. Mom, he's been throwing parties. I know. Callie told me you were upset. But honey, that's just how Jameson is. You know he's going through a hard time. My jaw clenched. A hard time? I worked through a hard time. When Dad died and we had nothing, I worked 3 jobs. And we're all so proud of you. But not everyone is as strong as you, baby. Jameson needs support right now. Can't you just let him use the house sometimes? You're barely there. He charged people money, Mom. At my house. She sighed like I was being difficult. Well, if he needs money for his daughter, where's the harm? You were young once. You remember having fun, don't you? I didn't, actually. I'd been too busy keeping the lights on. Ryan, Mom's voice softened with that particular manipulation that only mothers master. Your grandmother would want you to help family. That's what the strong ones do. They carry the weight. There it was. The guilt. The expectation. The assumption that because I could handle things, I should handle everything. That my boundaries were selfishness. That enforcing respect for my property was somehow betraying the family. I have to go, Mom. Don't be angry with your cousin. He loves you. We all love you. I hung up and looked around my destroyed sanctuary. Love. They kept using that word. It took me 9 hours to clean. 9 hours of scrubbing vomit off my deck, fishing cups and bottles out of my pool, trying to salvage my grandmother's quilt. The grill was beyond repair, $400 down the drain. Someone had carved initials into my custom oak dining table. My bedroom, my private bedroom that I'd specifically told Jameson was off limits, had been used by at least 3 different couples based on the evidence I'd rather not describe. The rage built slowly, methodically, like the engineering calculations I did at work. Precise. Measured. Structural. I found a blunt in my nightstand drawer. Marijuana smoke residue on my ceiling. A crack in my bathroom mirror. My $80 bottle of bourbon, a gift from my mentor, empty on the counter. These weren't accidents. This was disrespect so profound it became violence. My phone buzzed constantly. The family group chat was exploding. Aunt Callie, Ryan, you made Jameson cry. He said you called him a thief. How could you? Cousin Trina, damn Ryan, you really gonna do family like that over a party? Uncle Oliver, I remember when you needed help. We were there for you. Lies. Comfortable, convenient lies. They'd helped when it cost them nothing. They'd shown up to dinners I paid for, events I organized, holidays I financed. But when Dad died and we were broke, when Mom was crying over bills, when I was working myself sick at 19, where was this family then? Me, he's been throwing parties for 4 months, charging money, destroyed my property. Aunt Callie, property? It's just things, Ryan. Family is forever. Just things. My hard-earned sanctuary was just things. Sunday morning, my neighbor Mr. Clark knocked on my door. He was an older Chinese man, retired doctor, owned the property adjacent to mine. We'd always been cordial but not close. Mr. Ryan, I need to speak with you about the parties. My stomach dropped. I'm so sorry, Mr. Clark. I didn't know. He held up his hand. Not your fault. I know you're never here. But I must tell you, it's been very bad. Very loud. My wife, she has anxiety. The noise, the screaming, the people on our property. 3 times we called the police. 3 times. Yes. They did nothing because your cousin, He tells them he has permission. Shows them text messages from you saying he can use the house. Mr. Clark pulled out his phone, showed me photos. My lake house at night, cars everywhere, people jumping off my dock into the lake, someone throwing bottles at Mr. Clark's fence. I never texted him permission for parties. I believe you. I watch you, Mr. Ryan. You work hard. You respect property. These people, last month, 4 of them urinated on my rose bushes. My wife planted those when we retired. She cried. Something in my chest went nuclear. Mr. Clark continued, I tell you this because yesterday, I hear your cousin on the phone. He's planning another party. Next weekend. He says it will be biggest one yet. 50, 60 people. Some kind of birthday celebration. Whose birthday? Mr. Clark looked uncomfortable. His. He's charging $30 per person. Says he'll make $1,500 easy at Ryan's mansion. I drove back to Atlanta in silence, my mind working through calculations. Not engineering calculations this time. Something else. Something precise and devastating. Jameson was planning to profit $1,500 off my property while I worked. While I respected him enough to give him a key for emergencies. While I cleaned up after his previous 17 parties. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept seeing my grandmother's quilt, stained and trampled. Kept hearing my mother's voice, that's just how Jameson is. Kept reading the family group chat where I was the villain for setting boundaries. My phone rang at 2 a.m. Jameson. Ryan, man, I'm sorry about Friday. I was hungover, said some stuff I didn't mean. We good? I could hear the manipulation in his voice. The practiced apology he'd used 1,000 times to get what he wanted. The same tone he'd used when I paid for his courses, covered his rent, bailed him out of every consequence he'd ever faced. We're good, I lied. My voice was calm. Measured. I overreacted. Yeah, you did. He laughed, relief flooding through. I knew you'd come around. You always do. That's why you're my favorite cousin. Actually, I feel bad. I want to make it up to you. Silence. He hadn't expected that. For real? Yeah. I heard it's your birthday next weekend. 32, right? Big one. 33, but yeah. I was actually gonna ask. You can have your party at the lake house. My treat. I'll even leave Friday after work so you have the whole weekend. The excitement in his voice was disgusting. Ryan. Man, I knew you'd understand. This is gonna be legendary. I'm thinking 50 people, maybe more. Invite whoever you want. Go big. Jameson went into overdrive. The family group chat transformed from condemning me to praising me. Aunt Callie, I knew my nephew had a good heart. Thank you for being there for Jameson, baby. Trina, see, Ryan gets it. Family first. Mom, I'm so proud of you, honey. Your grandmother is smiling down. I muted the chat and focused on my real work. Over the next week, I made careful preparations. I contacted the utilities company, explaining I'd be doing maintenance. I reviewed my smart home system until I knew every function. I called Mr. Clark and warned him things might get loud next Saturday, but it would be the last time. Ever. You have a plan, Mr. Clark said. It wasn't a question. I have a plan. Good. These disrespectful people need to learn. Thursday night, Jameson sent me the party flyer he'd created. Birthday bash at the mansion with pictures of my lake house, my pool, my deck. $30, open bar, pool party, good vibes only. He'd listed himself as the host. No mention of me, the actual owner. The comments under the social media post were illuminating. Jameson really living that life. Your crib is insane, bro. Best parties at Jameson's spot. My spot. My mortgage. My sacrifice. His credit. Friday morning, I called in sick to work for the first time in 3 years. I drove to the lake house, arriving at noon. I had 30 hours before party time. The contractors I'd hired were already waiting. Plumbers, electricians, all professionals I'd worked with on projects. All discreet. All paid in cash. "You sure about this, Ryan?" asked Jerry, my plumber. "Seems extreme." "You saw the photos I sent you. Of what they did to my grandmother's quilt." Jerry winced. "Yeah. Okay. Let's do this." By 6 p.m. Friday, everything was in place. The water main had a brand new valve installed, one that could be controlled remotely through my phone. Same with the electrical panel. I'd had a secondary breaker system installed that overrode everything else. With 2 taps on my phone, I could cut all power and water to the property. I cleaned the house spotless. Stocked the fridge with food and drinks that I carefully inventoried and photographed. Set up additional cameras in weatherproof housings, hidden but covering every angle. I wanted documentation, evidence, protection. At 8 p.m., Jameson's truck pulled up. He had Trina, Uncle Oliver, and 4 people I didn't recognize. They were the setup crew. "Ryan, you're still here." Jameson looked nervous. "Just finishing up. House is all yours. I'm heading out in a minute." I watched them unload boxes of decorations, alcohol, a DJ setup. Jameson was going all out with my space. Trina started rearranging my furniture without asking. Uncle Oliver headed straight for my bourbon collection. "Hey, family." Honoris emerged from the truck, Jameson's ex-girlfriend. "Surprise. We're back together." So that's what the party was really about. A reconciliation celebration on my dime. "That's great," I said flatly. "Congratulations." Honoris hugged me. "You're the best, Ryan. Jameson said you were being weird, but I told him you'd come through. You always do." "Yes. I always did." Past tense. I grabbed my overnight bag, made a show of leaving my keys on the counter. "Have fun. Happy birthday, Jameson. Love you, cause." He was already opening a beer. I drove exactly 1 mile down the road, pulled into a camping area, and parked where my truck couldn't be seen from the main road. Then I settled in to wait. Saturday, 4 p.m. My cameras showed the first guests arriving. By 6, there were 30 cars parked across my lawn, the neighbor's property line, blocking the private road. By 7, the party was in full swing. My home invasion was complete. I watched on my phone as strangers filled my house. Someone knocked over a lamp, $50. A group of guys were having a wrestling match in my living room. A girl was taking selfies in my bed with the caption, "Living my best life at the mansion." My pool was packed with people who had no idea whose water they were swimming in. Jameson was in his element, playing host, accepting birthday shots, soaking in attention. Honoris was by his side, equally radiant. They'd set up a donation table for birthday contributions. People were actually giving them money. At my house. Mr. Clark texted, "It started. I can hear them already. My wife is upset." Me, not for long. 8 p.m., the DJ started. The music was so loud my camera feeds vibrated. I could see Mr. Clark's house from one angle, every light was on. They couldn't sleep. Couldn't have peace in their own home because my family felt entitled to mine. 9 p.m., someone threw a bottle that shattered against my siding. A couple started having sex on my deck furniture. A group was smoking weed in my garage. Jameson was giving tours of his lake house to impressed guests. 9:30 p.m., I called the police non-emergency line and reported a noise disturbance. They said they'd send someone when available. 10 p.m., I made the first move. My phone screen glowed in the dark truck cabin. I opened the utility control app. My finger hovered over the button. Then I pressed it. Water. OFF. It took 15 minutes for them to notice. Someone tried to flush a toilet. Heard confused shouting. The DJ had to pause his set to explain the water wasn't working. I watched Jameson on camera, looking panicked, checking faucets, calling someone, probably a plumber, who wouldn't answer at 10 p.m. on a Saturday. "It's just a temporary thing," he announced to the crowd. "We got bottled water. Party continues." They adapted. Of course they did. 50 people determined to party wouldn't let a little thing like no water stop them. But then, 11 p.m., I pressed the second button. Power. OFF. The entire property went dark. Completely, utterly black. The music died mid-song. The outdoor lights vanished. Even the emergency backups I disabled. 53 people, based on my count, plunged into darkness. The screaming was immediate. Confusion. Panic. Someone yelled about their phone battery. Flashlights clicked on, creating a chaotic light show. I watched through my night vision cameras as the party disintegrated into mayhem. Everybody calm down. Jameson's voice carried across the property. "It's just a breaker. I'll fix it." But he couldn't. Because the breaker box required a key I'd changed Friday afternoon. And the secondary override was hidden behind a locked panel only I knew about. I watched him struggle with the box for 20 minutes, growing more desperate. Guests started leaving. The first trickle became a flood. Nobody wanted to party in the dark with no water, no music, no bathrooms that flushed. Honoris was screaming at Jameson. "You said this was your house. Fix it." "It is. I mean, it's my cousin's, but I can fix it. Just give me a minute." "It's been 30 minutes, Jameson. This is embarrassing." By midnight, 40 people had left. The remaining 13 were Jameson's closest friends and family, refusing to admit defeat. At 1 a.m., headlights appeared on my cameras. Police. Finally. 2 officers approached the dark house. Jameson met them with his phone flashlight, trying to explain. I couldn't hear the conversation, but I saw him gesturing, showing his phone, probably the texts where I'd given permission. One officer walked the property with a flashlight, saw the damage, the bottles, the chaos. Came back shaking his head. Then my phone rang. The officer was calling me. They'd gotten my number as the property owner from the 911 system. "Mr. Ryan? This is Officer Perez. We're at your lake house responding to a disturbance. A Mr. Jameson claims he has permission to be here. He did have a key for emergencies. This is not an emergency. This is a party I explicitly did not authorize." He's showing me text messages. From last weekend when I told him he could have his birthday party. "Yes. But I'm the homeowner, and I'm telling you now, they need to leave. All of them. This is trespassing." Silence. Then, "Sir, did you turn off your own utilities?" "It's my house. I can turn off my utilities whenever I want. Especially when 50 uninvited guests are destroying my property." I heard the officer's partner laugh in the background. Officer Perez cleared his throat. "Understood, sir. We'll clear the property. Would you like to press charges?" "Not tonight. I just want them gone." 20 minutes later, my cameras showed the last vehicles leaving. Jameson was arguing with officers. Aunt Callie had apparently arrived and was crying. Honoris had already left with someone else. Uncle Oliver was being helped into a car, too drunk to walk straight. Trina was recording everything on her phone, probably for social media. Sunday morning, I returned to the lake house. The officers had left a report on the door. I walked through the damage with my camera, documenting everything for insurance and my records. $2,000 in property damage, conservative estimate. But the real cost was invisible, the years of being taken for granted, the assumption that I existed to serve. My phone had 147 messages. The family group chat was a war zone. "Aunt Callie, you humiliated my son. On his birthday. What kind of person does that?" "Trina, you're dead to this family, Ryan. Dead." "Uncle Oliver, you always thought you were better than us. Now you've shown your true colors." "Mom, Ryan, please call me. I don't understand why you did this. Everyone is so hurt." But there were other messages too. From Mr. Clark, "Thank you. My wife slept peacefully. You are a good man. From my mentor at work, heard through the grapevine what happened. Proud of you for standing up for yourself. From Kiana, my sister, the one I'd put through college, about time you set boundaries. I'm with you 100%. These people have used you for years. I sat on my deck, watching the sunrise over Cedar Lake. My lake. My house. My peace. I changed every lock. Disabled Jameson's key code. Updated my security system. Sent a formal letter to each family member who'd been present, including photos of the damage and an itemized bill. I didn't expect payment. I expected acknowledgement. None came. Instead, I got blocked on social media. Uninvited from family events. Called selfish, cruel, heartless. But here's what they didn't understand. I didn't need their validation anymore. For the first time in my life, I chose myself. I chose my boundaries. I chose my peace. 3 months later, I'm sitting on this same deck, writing this story. The lake house is quiet except for birds and water. Mr. Clark and his wife came over for dinner last week. My real friends from work visit sometimes. Kiana came for a weekend and we actually relaxed. The family? They're planning Uncle Oliver's birthday party at Aunt Callie's house. They'll have to pay for it themselves this time. My therapist says I'm learning healthy boundaries. I say I'm learning what I should have known all along. Respect isn't optional. Family doesn't mean free access to your life, your property, your peace. Jameson sent one text last week. You were wrong, but I forgive you. I didn't respond. There's nothing left to say to someone who thinks forgiveness is his to give when respect was mine to demand. I'm not bitter. I'm not angry anymore. I'm just done. And honestly, I've never felt more free.